without further ado, number one, Las Vegas Raiders picking one. Again, we're not going to spend too much time on this one, as we can imagine. It's Fernando Mendoza, quarterback of Indiana, Heisman Trophy winner. Obvious. I mean, we've had it in a fair few seasons now. Caleb at one, Kyler at one. Very obvious pick this straight away off the bat. I don't think we or any of us need to dwell on this really for too long. So the only thing I would say is I saw one today. I posted it to you guys with Joel Klatt, another fantastic college football media analyst, really great podcast as well. For people should definitely check that out. He did the whole draft if every college player was eligible and still had Mendoza at one. So is he that good?
Yeah, I suppose the point is the season that he had, he got better and better. The coaches got more film on him and they showed more of him, and he only got better throughout the playoffs. Everything they threw at him, he played a couple of teams twice, and that's what you want in it: progression, mentality, maturity, all of that. And he's got that in abundance. So I think that's what's got the other guys that are still at college that haven't gone into this draft. They've gone back because we need to see more from them, and we don't need to see any more from Mendoza to say he's good.
And as ever, because we are live, make sure you whack your opinions in the comments. Maybe we'll read one or two out if we get any. That'd be fantastic as well. So make sure you do that wherever you're watching this podcast this evening. Again, we will be posting. It'll be still on our channel. I'll also be editing it down to sort of the range of picks. So make sure you check that out as well. On to pick two. The New York Jets have gone for Arvell Reese, linebacker / edge, out of Ohio State, a player that Andrew knows very well, being a Ohio State fan. But Adam, being the college guy, that you get very involved in the college stuff now at this time of the year and towards January and onwards. Arvell Reese, I mean, a hell of an athlete, hell of a player, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we feel that he's definitely a very good edge rusher. I think it's edge is the right position. I think it makes loads of sense. Jermaine Johnson obviously was traded away. It's kind of the one area that they didn't do anything in free agency with other than trading Jermaine Johnson away. So to get a premium position, the main guy, I think it's really a matter of how you feel between Arvell Reese and David Bailey. I think they're the two that a lot of people will talk about. But yeah, I mean, Reese looks really good. I don't think it really matters which one you go for. They're both going to be very good. So yeah, it makes sense, and a pretty obvious pick, I think.
Speaking of which,
I'd go back to that because I don't think it's the right pick for the Jets.
Okay.
I think he's the better player. I'll give him that. But he has not played a full season at edge rusher. When Abdul Carter was that hybrid player that people are likening him to, he moved to edge and played a full year at edge. Reese has never played a full year at edge, and he's going to be a developmental player with a really high ceiling. And the Jets, I'm just not confident that the Jets will be able to work with a guy like that with the coaching staff that they've got in. And I think they'd be better off if I was them picking an outright edge rusher, which David Bailey, if that's the guy, or Bain. I think if that they're true edge rushers and they're proper edge rushers and that's what they need. I think this guy needs to land at the right place to get the best out of him. And I'm not sure if New York's the best place for him. So yeah, that's my concern with that. But I do think he's the better player.
No, got a bit of Micah Parsons about him where he would work at edge.
Yeah, no, I've not got an issue with that. I think that's
it's just a coach. You think the team fit?
Yes.
Michael went to Dallas and got that coaching.
Yeah,
he's going to New York.
He needs to go to a team that can use his tools and progress him. And I've not got confidence in the Jets being able to do that with the coaching staff they've got at the minute.
Okay.
What do you mean at the minute? Ever?
Well, I don't think that staff's going to be there for much longer, really. I can't. Yeah, another bad year and they're gone, aren't they?
True.
On to number 3, Arizona Cardinals taking Francis. I believe it's pronounced Marinoa. I think
Correct.
that the UIGO within Maori culture has got that N in it. Offensive tackle out of Miami. I mean, because it's not strong quarterback class, everyone's going to go, well, Arizona need quarterback, but really they need to do what this pick it requires, where go and build a good O-line and then get your guy, and to get, to pair a new offensive tackle up with a fresh quarterback next season. I mean, it's playing for the future, isn't it, this one?
It is, but if they're picking him at 3, that means it's a guaranteed that he's going to play tackle. Me and Adam have covered the O-lineman, and there's lots of people saying that there's a possibility he might be moving into guard. But I think if they're picking at 3 and he's going to go at 3, that means he's definitely a tackle.
It says here he's a plug-in and play guy at right tackle, so he's definitely not playing the left then.
No, I mean, he's played both, hasn't he? He's played left tackle and right tackle, but I think he is predominantly right. Look, I think the thing with a lot of these offensive linemen, we were saying it does feel like a lot of them have played tackle, but chances are they are going to move into guard. I think that he deserves a shot at tackle, and I think that he's got a really good chance of doing it. And he, for me, he's the best O-line guy in the draft, and is a top 5 talent. So I think it's fine that he's there. Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, Fred, when it comes to the situation that the Cardinals have found themselves in, they've got a lot of holes. So going for the best O-line guy is never going to be a bad decision to make. So I think because of that, it's completely fair to take him here.
To the Tennessee Titans at number 4, they take running back out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. Everyone is, I mean, a lot of people are saying this is the best player within the draft. I don't think it's necessarily Tennessee's number 1 need, but when you've got someone this talented, to help out Cam Ward for Ward to pass it off to Love, and in them pressured situations, it's a fantastic piece to get.
Yeah, Adam's not convinced by this one. He wasn't sure on it being. We went through it, and you said it's not their biggest need. And after I re-looked at it, I felt like it probably was one of their biggest needs. I don't think Tony Pollard or Tajay Spears, they were down towards the bottom, I believe, last year in the rushing game. So I don't think they're overly that strong at running back. They brought in Wan'Dale Robinson in hopes that has strengthened the wide receiver. I do think they are still short at wide receiver. I don't think they brought Calvin Ridley back, but I'm not sure he's the answer. I do like Iomanor, but again, he's only coming into his 2nd year. So I do think there's something lacking at wide receiver, but I don't think Pollard and Spears are the future. So I've no issue with them going Love. It's a risky pick, taking a running back at 4. But they've addressed a load of defense in free agency, as it says from Daniel Jeremiah there. So I think they're definitely going offense. It's just whether it's wide receiver or running back here, I think.
I'm just taking a look now just to see where they were on that list. But yeah, you're not loving it, Adam.
I'm not. The reason I just think it's bad process, to be honest. I think it's a really, when you go and you pick up a running back in the first round, I think it needs to be because you're at a point where your team is pretty strong and you're doing quite well. And I understand that they've brought in an awful lot of free agents, but we were all saying that we weren't overly keen on what they had brought in a lot of the time. I think there's some real top quality guys here who will be an absolute difference maker for them in their defense, at linebacker, at safety, which I think would make so much more sense for them to do that and to build. I also feel like that might be what Robert Saleh would think as well, as the defensive-minded head coach, that he would want that, and he would want these guys. You've got 2 guys that are coming out of Ohio State in Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs, and I think either of them would be great in this team. I just don't think the idea of going out and getting the star running back is necessarily the right move, and it feels very similar to what the Raiders did last year, and we saw how well that went.
Does anybody
They were-
else think that they're
They were 30th in rushing and 30th in touchdowns. Just
Yeah.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are the future for this team. I'm just saying I think it's the wrong move now.
Does anybody else think that they're really putting a lot of eggs in the Daboll basket, where they've kind of let him pick up Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger? There's a few others come from the Giants. He's worked with Saquon Barkley, so that there's that connection of saying like he's got worked well with a good run game, so Love will fit that. Do you think they're putting a lot of eggs in that basket? Because as Fred says, this isn't a Salah move, is it? You'd expect him to go defense, defense, defense. That's my ethos, and he's the head coach. That seems a bit strange to me.
I mean, for me, looking at their roster right now, I mean, they've invested a lot of money on that defense, and they've brought a lot of players in. But Wan'Dale Robinson, Austin Schlottman, the center, Cordell Volson, the guard, Austin Deculus, a backup left tackle, Dan Bellinger, Kylan Granson, another tight end, and then Mitch Trubisky to back up Cam Ward. I don't think they've invested loads in this offense. I mean, I know what you mean by about investing in Brian Daboll. This pick would sort of solidify that Daboll's going to be our guy and we're going to really back him and give him everything. But if you were going to give him everything, you'd have done a bit more than that with your offense.
What I mean is they've let him bring in Wan'Dale Robinson on a lot of money, and they've let him bring in Daniel Bellinger, and we're looking at saying it's going to be a running back here. That's what I'm saying. It seems like they're letting him have a bit more say so in the offense. So I think that's maybe why it's leaning towards Love here.
But his offensive style is to run first.
Yeah,
and I work with a good running back.
And I do feel like the way that they're going to play this is very much like the offense. That's yours, Daboll. You deal with that. Like I don't envisage Salah getting involved in any of that at all, and he's almost like Daboll can just do all of that. When you actually look at the free agent signings, it does make you can understand why he's come to the conclusion of running back. Like when you look at what they've done, and it's in that respect, it kind of makes sense. I just think it's not. To me, it's poor process. I think you're doing it wrong, and more often than not, when teams do this, it doesn't work. That's my only thing with it.
On to pick 5 for Andrew's New York Giants, and this is Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State. Like I said earlier, Andrew being an Ohio State fan knows them players very, very well. And Sonny Styles is, I mean, he's got star written all over him, hasn't he? I mean, you'd be very, very happy with this pickup, wouldn't you, Andrew?
Yeah, if we pick any Ohio State player at this pick, I'm happy. If it's Styles, if it's Downs, if it's Tate, I will be very, very happy. So I'm not going to fault this. We've just lost Bobby Okereke, so that's a straight swap there. A very versatile player. Will fit the Harbaugh scheme well. I do think we need more help at wide receiver. I wouldn't mind. So that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't mind Carnell Tate here. I think that would complement Neighbors perfectly. And our defense is quite strong already. But if we would just want to keep picking the best player available, then no problem at this pick at all.
So far for DJ's top 5, no problem. You both have no problem with him. This being the top 5.
Well,
nothing ridiculous. I don't think there's anything
outside of Adam saying about Jeremiah Love. But would you? But Adam, to draw away from him being picked by Tennessee, Arizona could pick him. Do you not see Love as being picked up 5 then?
Not for me.
Okay.
Talent-wise, yes, but not given the teams. No, I don't think it makes sense for any of them to be. You could argue the Giants, but I don't think that's needed really.
Well, the Giants have got Scatterbo, Tyron Tracy, and they've brought back Singletary. So I think that indicates we're probably not in for the running back game. I don't think.
Yeah, I think there's a strong chance that he does go top 5. I think what will happen is that either someone will come up or one of these teams will go, he is that good, we have to take him. But for me, none of these teams are in a position where they desperately need that running back to be like the final piece of the puzzle. So it feels very high to take a running back because of that.
It's gone to the first of Cleveland's 2 first-round picks in this draft, being the 24th pick and the 6th. They've got Daniel Jeremiah's got Carnell Tate, a Ohio State wide receiver, going here. Good pick. Andrew's just said that if the Giants picked him, you'd be happy. I think it's a decent piece for Cleveland. They don't have really offensive wise. It's pretty bad. He says here, feels like Browns need to land offensive tackle and receiver with their first 2 round selections. They take the first receiver off the board here, and potentially not getting the best tackle. I mean, there's other tackles, but the best tackle, I suppose, goes at 3 here in Jeremiah's view. So he feels they can hold on and wait.
Yeah, if you don't get one of the top 3 wide receivers, you don't get a good receiver. If you don't get one of the top tackles at this point, then there's still a lot of talent with their second pick for tackle. So I've got no issue with them doing it this way round rather than tackle. We're all in agreement. It's tackle and wide receiver they need. And I think this is the correct way to do it in terms of what talent's on the board, because I think they won't be, the other 2 guys won't be available for them to pick at their next pick. So I think this is the correct way round to do it.
Yeah, I also think he's the right guy. He's the right one for them as well. I think I reckon he's the more reliable wide receiver out of the top 3 and probably the most polished. So I think that because of that, it makes sense for them. When you look at their depth chart, their wide receiver sort of room is lacking in any sort of star power. So I think that he's definitely one that could become that. And as Andrew said, there's a lot of O-line guys this year. That's not going to be a problem. So, they've got the second pick. They can do that later.
The Commanders at 7 take Ruben Bain, Miami player, edge rusher. So there, Washington was aggressive to fill needs at edge rusher in free agency. Bain has versatility to play from the edge on early downs and slide inside and sub packages, making him a nice complement to new signings, Adafe Owe and Clarion Chason as well. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Commanders, Dan Quinn taking a defensive player here it seems reasonable to me.
I think you're right in respect of it being a defensive player. For me, when I look at that,
you're screaming David Bailey.
Well, I am screaming David Bailey, but personally, it's not actually necessarily about that. You've just spent an absolute shed load of money in Owe. Chason is not going to be someone who's not going to get involved. It feels like a lot going into the edge position. I know that they need it, or they did need it, but it does feel like quite a lot. I would argue again, Caleb Downs is still there. And at safety, I know they've brought Nick Cross in, but I feel like it wouldn't be the worst idea to have Nick Cross with him. And that would be a very good pairing at safety for me.
But you've got to admit, no matter how good the player is in Caleb Downs, the fact he is a safety will always drop him down the board.
No, I think that's wrong in the way the modern NFL game's going. I think when you look at the teams that have made big pushes in the playoffs into the Super Bowl and the types of safety that they've had, I think that it is becoming more polarizing that you need a safety. And when you look at Ohio State's defense, which was the #1 defense in college football last year, they got Caleb Downs and then they built round him. And I don't see why you can't do that in the NFL. I don't see why you can't take Caleb Downs, because he's not just your regular safety. He can come down onto the ball and he can drop back as well. He can play absolutely everywhere across that defense. So I think you get him and you build around him. So I'm fine with Adam's conclusion that would be the better player to go for. For me, he's probably, let's find out what's going on with this ankle that people have talked about. He's probably the best player in the draft. I know people might say Love, but I think Caleb Downs is the best player in the draft. So people missed out on Kyle Hamilton because he played safety, and look how great and phenomenal he's been. The only other position I would say for these guys is they have nothing at wide receiver other than Scary Terry, who's getting bit older,
Yeah.
they literally have Traylon Burks and Luke McCaffrey. They brought in Van Jefferson, didn't they? So again, if they do want to help their franchise quarterback, their young lad that all hopes are on him becoming the next big thing for them, you might want to help him at some point on the offense. So that might be an area to look at wide receiver for them as well. I think Makai Lemon here maybe would be perfect with Terry McLaurin.
Pick 8 for the New Orleans Saints is the stop of the falling of David Bailey, I suppose, in Adam's eyes. They're the Texas Tech edge. Bailey, it's interesting for me because you know me, I'm the novice in the college stuff. I know what I'm talking about, and I know the teams, I know the players, but I don't track it all. However, I do keep an eye on mocks a lot of the time. And Bailey, for me, at one point was in January, February, was like 20s, went up to the teens. I guarantee by DJ 4.0, I think David Bailey's a top 5 player picked, maybe even a top 3 player picked. His rise at the moment is unbelievable.
I still can't put him above Bain. Bain for me is the best pure edge rusher. Taking Reese out of the equation, Bain for me is better. But yeah, David Bailey here at this pick. Yeah, pick it. It's perfect. It fits what the Saints need perfectly. But I think as we've spoke down the list, we haven't really gone, they definitely need an edge rusher. They should be getting an edge rusher. So it might be because this is where they need to go in terms of playing the team's needs.
Do you not think that the Saints have kind of always gone down that route of wanting a sort of like a power edge rusher as well, rather than a finesse guy?
They've missed as well a lot of times, haven't they?
They have,
and they've missed, and they've had Cam Jordan to back it up.
Yeah, is it Granderson they've got
currently
that had a bit of a dip in form, and
Chase Burner, that was a massive.
Chase Young doesn't stay fit for the whole season, despite the fact he plays well when he has been, but he doesn't stay fit. So I think they do need to invest in that edge position.
Yeah.
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs are investing in O-line once again. Spencer Fano from Utah. It says here the Chiefs will have excellent information on him because of Andy Reid's relationship with former Utah head coach and former BYU teammate Kyle Whittingham. The number 2 O-line in this draft. In fact, no, don't even answer that because we want people to watch your O-line video that you've put out. So we can't say he's the number 2, but is this a good pick?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think they're missing a trick here when you get the first pick of the cornerbacks. You've just let both your cornerbacks go.
Yes,
so if you've got the opportunity to take the best cornerback and you want him to plug and play, Mansour Delane here would be the pick for me. They've got another pick later, and we've said there's plenty of O-line people to pick from. They've got their left tackle in Josh Simmons. And across the board, is their O-line that bad? Kingsley Suamata, Creed Humphreys, Trey Smith, Jalen Moore's a good right tackle. I don't think they overly need to go high on another right tackle here, which is where he's going to play. So yeah, I think they're missing a trick with cornerback here.
This just to also reiterate, this was published March 17th. Just for people to, if they go, why has he picked this person here? They've now got this person, for example. Yeah, I think you're right in that debate. I just struggle to put my arms around a lot of the Chiefs O-line. I think I don't think some of them on that O-line are as good as people make out, personally. And
which one of them's not good?
Is it Jalen Moore? I don't think he's like
the right
groundbreaking. I just don't think he's like that good. I think he's decent. I just don't think he's like that good. But I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong in the fact of the cornerback thing at all. I just think, you know, if the route they want to go down is to get someone young, really versatile, you know, it can be a right tackle, it says here, eventually kick inside to guard if necessary, then they can go and do that. And let's be frank, they, after what happened with Pat Mahomes, there is going to be a more onus on, we need to protect him at all costs.
Yeah, you use your later picks. Usually, you've got another pick later in the first round. You've got second round picks. Bolster up on your O line there. I think. Adam, what's your thoughts? Have they missed a trick here?
I feel like the strength in O line is much more in this year's class than what the cornerbacks are. I'm not saying that there isn't strength in the depth of the corners, but I think that the O line is very strong. I mean, we recorded the O line top 10. At the end of it, we were going over like other mentions, and we came out with like another 5 or 6 quite quickly, where it's like these guys they could be top 50 guys. So I think there is a lot of strength at O line. So it does make you feel a little bit like, why would you go so high when you don't need to? You've got, is it pick 30? I think they've got now, isn't it? So they could take an O line guy there, but I think corner makes the most sense. I fear that they might panic and do this because it will be as simple as, we need to protect Mahomes. We need to protect Mahomes. It's kind of that sort of blind, not looking at all the problems, but just going, we need to do this. And it kind of felt like that's what the Bengals did a couple of years ago with Joe Burrow, where it's like, we've got to go O-line because we have to protect Burrow. So it kind of feels like you could end up with that situation. But yeah, I do agree. I think there's not as many top corners as there are O-line guys, and so a corner would make a bit more sense.
Freddie's on mute.
Don't tell him. Has he not worked it out yet?
No, maybe I should take over.
I think you should take over. It's all gone wrong.
Well, at pick 10, Adam, the Cincinnati Bengals, I've taken Caleb Downs.
We've done.
Oh, there we go.
I had myself on mute because I was having a drink of water and then I was moving it on.
Well, I've told Adam at pick 10 we've got the Cincinnati Bengals taking Caleb Downs, so don't worry about that.
I could hear you. I was just muted. I could hear everything. I just couldn't understand what you were talking about. I just hadn't clocked together. It's a lot later than we usually do podcasts. Give me a break. Give me a break. No brainer pick here, I suppose, for both of you.
Yeah. If they go defense, they've gone correct, haven't they? They've never really replaced Jesse Bates, have they? So
yeah,
perfect. Got no issue with this.
Yeah.